afternoon, everyone, and happy Wednesday. It's Alyssa Corm here, and I'm joined by Justin Nielsen for a look at the stock market today. And on today's show, we're going to break down the action for the major indexes and also take a look at a couple of interesting names in the market, some pretty familiar names
Yeah,
to a lot of investors out there.
yeah. For as much as the indexes have been kind of in a little disconnect with some of our major leading stocks that we're taking a look at, today was kind of interesting to see how that kind of changed some shifts there. So we'll take a look at Apple, big tech leader there, setting up with a cup with handle. Also PayPal, potentially giving a new add-on opportunity, and then rounded up with ISRG, maybe playing possum.
All right, let's do it. First, a look at the major indexes. Here is the Nasdaq, which closed up about 0.4% for the day. The S&P 500 up 0.2%. The Dow roughly flat, slightly lower. The Russell 2000, which has been outperforming, down about 0.7% for the day. And then drilling underneath the surface, Triple Q, which tracks the Nasdaq 100, up I think 6 or 7 tenths of a percent today. So those big cap tech names really taking the spotlight today, Justin.
Exactly. And so it was kind of, again, what we've been seeing is a little bit of a disconnect where the last few days, at least in my own portfolio, I've been having some really nice gains, even though the indexes haven't been doing that well. Well, today I was taking some hits in a lot of names, whereas the indexes were doing much better. So again, sometimes the leading stocks will differ a little bit from those big heavyweights in the indexes. And I think that's what we were seeing. So when you see the QQQ, the NASDAQ 100, kind of shift a little bit higher than the NASDAQ composite itself, sometimes it is suggesting it's the heavyweights that are kind of driving that. And, just as one point to that, if we take a look at the Innovator IBD 50 fund, this is FFTY, which is an ETF that tracks growth names. You can see how strong it's been in the last few days. And again, today was kind of an off day. Not anything that is a disaster, but down about 0.8%. Again, when the NASDAQ 100 is up almost the same amount as it was down, you just kind of see that there was a little bit of a shift there. Now, does this mean that there's kind of a rotation? We've been talking about the strength in the Russell 2000, a lot of the small cap, mid cap names. It's just one day. So, you have to be very careful of necessarily reading too much into it, but it is worth noting when you see it.
Yes, definitely worth noting. And speaking of tech heavyweights, let's kick things off with a look at Apple ticker AAPL, of course, up about 1.6% for the day. Volume was lighter than average, Justin, but we've been tracking this stock as it made its move back above that 50-day moving average, tested new highs, it's pulled back a bit, and now it looks like it's rebounding off of the 21-day.
Yeah, Leaderboard did an early entry on this one, as you mentioned, as it got back above the 50-day moving average line. Kind of building that right side of the cup. Now, what you would kind of expect as it got to those old highs around 137.98, you would kind of expect a potential handle to form. And this is something that is very usual in a lot of these big names after their basing. So far, it's kind of going right according to plan. And you've got a nice handle forming here. Now, you could wait for the 138.89 entry. That's just adding 10 cents to the high of that handle. Or, sometimes what we'll do is we'll sneak in a little bit early as we see a downtrend in the handle. If you see some power come in, then that could be an additional spot to enter. But it was definitely, Apple was one of those big heavyweights that was showing strength today, and it has a setup. So this is not something that's showing strength with no action anywhere in sight. This isn't extended. This is kind of giving you a potential opportunity either here or very soon.
That's right. Yeah. Setting up for a position trade, and we added it to Swing Trader today.
We did. We snuck in early to kind of take advantage of that downtrending handle.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's also take a look at another big tech name, PayPal. It's been on the move and a gain of another 3% today, Justin. Now right back at all-time highs after a trip to its own 21-day line after running when it came back above its 50-day. What do you make of the action here?
Yeah, so I mean, again, here's another one that's doing everything just fine, going according to plan. And so this is one that we also have on leaderboard. And so we have a half position in this, and this actually has a lot of qualities of a long-term leader. If you go to the monthly chart and take a look at this, it's got this nice move. You look at the relative strength. This is something that outperforms the market over time, but it also has a lot of earning stability. So you couple all of those things together. This is one of the reasons why we consider it a long-term leader potential. And with those, we try and keep those at half positions, and we try and kind of weather the storm in a lot of cases. If you go back to that base that we had in September, October area, that was a little, tricky. It was trading below the 10-week moving average line for a number of weeks. And that felt uncomfortable. But again, because it had that long-term leader status, we actually held on to this position. We reduced a little bit in leaderboard, but then brought it right back to a half position. We didn't add today, even though it's coming out of this little consolidation here, but we did put an action alert out to subscribers to let them know, hey, if this is something that you're interested in or don't have, this could be an opportunity to kind of add shares to get your position size up or even initiate. But just be aware that we are still in a case where the ideal area is to kind of get when it's coming out of those initial consolidations, but this short one does provide another opportunity.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, last but not least, let's take a look at ISRG, Intuitive Surgical, up about 3% today. It does have earnings, not immediately around the corner, but looks like earnings are due on the 21st of the month. And we had a nice move here today, Justin. This stock's been able to find support at its 21-day line. A little bit of a common theme here. It seems like we really like using that 21-day exponential moving average.
Yeah, and again, it's not something that you necessarily are always seeing, but right now you are. So you have to be aware of the market that you're in. And I especially like when something is getting support at the 21-day moving average line, and like in this case, that's also support right at the top of that last base too. So you've kind of got two very logical areas giving you extra confirmation that this support level, as long as it holds there, that's looking really strong. Now, one thing that might kind of make people a little upset is when you have a stock breakout, and the breakout a couple of weeks ago was strong and it looked good, but then it hasn't gone anywhere. And so a lot of people will get frustrated, especially when you see a lot of these high flyers that are going up day after day, 10% moves, and you're just like, and I'm sitting in this dog Intuitive Surgical that's not going anywhere. But sometimes you have to give these a little bit of time. And right now it's not doing anything wrong. It's holding right there in the buy range. So this is still actionable. As you mentioned, earnings are coming up soon. So if once you start getting close to earnings, we try not to add necessarily because it's much more difficult to get a cushion. And then without a cushion, it's more difficult to hold. And at this point, you would expect earnings and sales might still be a little bit under the weather for Intuitive Surgical because of the pandemic and some of these surgeries that have been put off. So really the kind of play here is looking forward to what those earnings and sales could be once the pandemic, once the vaccines kind of come out and people start doing their surgeries again.
That's right. We're going to keep an eye on it. It has a lot of things going for it as an economic recovery play and some nice technical action too. Thank you so much, Justin, for breaking all of that down for us today.
You got it.
All right, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. The conversation, of course, will continue tomorrow morning on IBD Live. Our experts are sharing their screen. They're talking about a lot of these actionable trades in real time, trades that often go on Leaderboard or on Swing Trader. Definitely stocks that are on our radar, even ones that will become the stock of the day that day. We really appreciate you tuning in, submitting your questions. It's a really interactive experience, and there's never a shortage of things to talk about, Justin.
Absolutely. And your addition of the poll question is something that's really kind of taken off. A lot of people really enjoy that. A lot of participation as people kind of look to get some of their educational questions answered. So a little something for everyone.
Yeah, well, I can't take all the credit for the poll thing, but I have been having fun coming up with the questions. And tune in tomorrow to see what tomorrow's poll question is. Check out investors.com/IBD Live if you haven't already. We look forward to seeing you there. And we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Thank you for watching.